Throne and Liberty is a new free-to-play MMORPG coming out this year to both PC and consoles, and we need to talk about it because if you're looking for the next big MMO with up-to-date 2024 graphics, this might be it. Throne and Liberty just had a free beta testing period, and I jumped in to give it a try with pretty low expectations. And wow, was I surprised. This game has stunning graphics, some of the best in the MMO genre outside of maybe Black Desert. It's got a unique mount system where you can transform into animals and travel, fly, swim. The game also does so many things well that should be praised, but it also has some problems that might hold it back if it releases in this state. So yeah, let's talk about everything Throne and Liberty, and hopefully if it sounds like something you like, you can jump in when it comes out for free in a couple of months. Okay, so the number one thing that I want to talk about is the mount system, the travel system, because this is the most next-gen thing I've seen in an MMO. And it's not just about the 3 travel forms, it's about how they work. And let me explain. You have 3 forms, ground, air, and sea, basically, and you can transform into any of them instantly. No cast timer, think like a druid in WoW, an instant travel form. But with this, it means that you can get around the entire world instantly from the very start of the game. The old days of slow walking around questing until you get your mount at level 40, 50 are not here. You can go cat form in your first hour and dart through your quests. Let's say you have a thing you need to get to, a quest that's quite far away. You can grapple up to the top of a roof building, you can run around that building as a cat, get to the roof, get to a high point, turn into a bird, and fly over the whole map to where you need to go, with 0 restrictions. Not once have I seen a "you can't mount here" or "you can't use travel form here" kind of message. On top of this, all of these mounts have different forms. So when you're in the sea, you can be like this cute little otter, or you can be a turtle. And these things have special powers. Like depending on what your form is, it can do different things as well. You can be like a cat, or you can be a wolf. In the air, you can be different kinds of flying creatures. And you can level these creatures up. So they start out a certain speed, and as you level them up further, they get faster. So it's a really cool system that is just there from the start and makes the whole game just feel more fun. The next thing I want to talk about is dynamic world events. If you've played games like Lost Ark, you'll be familiar with a kind of calendared events, like scheduled events. You open a window and there's a timer where every hour something happens. Think like a boss spawns at 4 p.m. or this thing happens in this zone at 7 p.m. and you have to get there and then you get a cool reward for showing up. Now, this game has this. I haven't done many of them, but each of the ones I have done have been incredible and very surprising. There was one where I went to a forest and there was a wolf hunting competition on, and I went there thinking this would just be a simple gathering quest. Everybody gathers something, hands it in, and you get your rewards. But there's like 50 people running around in this zone, all fighting wolves, and then when you got a wolf tail, you handed it in, and there was a reward for how many you got. And the person who got the most got, onto this leaderboard who got the most stuff, and they get shouted out as the person who gathered the most tails. So a simple go gather 10 wolf tails became this really cool hunting event that was like dynamic. It was immersive because everyone was competing to be at the top of this leaderboard. Yeah, it was just really, really well done, and I was quite surprised. Next, I went to this quest hub, like a town it's like above ground in the air a little bit. And there was this giant whale just circling the town. I want to show it because it was crazy. And I looked and I was like, what is it? It wasn't here like an hour ago. And I looked and there was an event, the Gigantrine. And that's the name of this big creature. And it was in the area as part of the event. So after watching it for a while, I turned into travel form and just jumped. I managed to land on its wing and climb onto the back of it. And you can fully ride this giant whale around. There was like some special rare mining nodes on its back that you could mine if you had the right skills. I didn't, but just amazing, like so cool. It is absolutely jaw-dropping just seeing this thing circling an area. Even if you don't jump on the back of it and you're like down on the ground fighting monsters or questing, and you look up and there's just this giant whale just floating around. I haven't had that kind of immersive, just shocked feeling in an MMO in a long time. MMOs have this sense lately of being very task orientated. Go get this, go here, go get this, go here. I definitely find myself just in zones for longer than I needed to be just because there were so many things happening. So yeah, I wanted to shout this out because not many games do this well, but Throne and Liberty have nailed it. I can't imagine what the end game events are like in this game, but yeah, this is definitely something to look forward to if you're jumping into Throne of Liberty when it comes out. Okay, next, let's talk about the classes, and this is going to be a divisive thing that's going to put a lot of people off, because when I say talk about the classes, I mean the lack of classes. This is a classless game. I personally love a classless sandbox style game where you can be whatever you want. Maybe you want to be an elf, fast archer with a sword, cool. Or you want to be a big, chunky guy that has a bit of magic and a two-handed sword. I love that sort of, classless sandbox game. However, I don't feel like it's done great in Throne and Liberty. From the start of the game, you're given a selection of weapons and you can equip anything you want and level up your skills. You can equip 2 weapons at a time, and then your hotbar is filled with either of the skills of those 2 weapons. And I tried a lot of different things here. I tried every weapon that was available, and I kept trying to find what felt best. And normally in these sort of games, I want to play them all. I want to try everything. But here I felt almost as if I didn't like any of them, which is weird. And eventually I landed on the longbow and the dagger. That kind of felt the best. You could take poison buff from the daggers and then combine that with your bows to do like poison shots. You could take skills from one of the weapons that lets you dash, and then dash and switch into a different weapon, which is, you know, there's a lot of cool things you can do here. It reminded me of a lot of like New World, but something felt very off. Unlike in New World, where when you change weapons, your whole hotbar changes. So it's like when you change from like staff to sword, you change from like a wizard to a warrior. That's kind of how it feels. Here, that is not the case. Everything is just clustered together on your hotbar. And some things you can use, some things you can't. So if you have like a bow equipped and you try and press like one of your dagger skills, they just won't work because you're out of range. If you switch to your dagger and you're out of range, your auto attack will stop because you're no longer equipping the bow. The whole thing just felt so clunky. And because you have like, as you level up your weapon, you gain new skills and you want to put them all on your bar. But because you've got 2 weapons full of skills and you only got so many fingers, I play a lot of MMOs and I'm used to keybinding and putting things on the hotbar, but I'm not used to a situation where I can't use a lot of the things on my hotbar because they're for different weapons. It just didn't feel good. It really just didn't feel good. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain the problem here without playing it, but it just feels clunky and it took a lot of fun out of the combat for me. It does have potential and I hope they improve it before release. Okay, next up, got to talk about the graphics. I cover a lot of MMOs on this channel and I rarely talk about the graphics. I think the only game I've really sat back and said, you need to play this purely because of the graphics is Black Desert, because that is like the pinnacle, the S tier of graphics and MMOs. But Throne and Liberty have done something that puts them up there, and I've got to talk about it. They have captured something here that is so good. From the opening cutscenes to just moving around the world, flying through the sky, it just feels like you're playing a next-gen 2024 MMO. There's a scene when you come out of the tutorial, and it like opens you up into the world. It's like, kind of like how Elden Ring does it as you come out of the catacombs. And there's this giant flying space creature. The glare of the sun goes across the screen. And it instantly hits you that this is a good game. It's instantly the quality of the game just hits you. There aren't many MMOs out there where I just want to turn the UI off and just run around, but this was one of them. But yeah, from everything, the characters, the world, the gear, everything just looks so good. Even more so when you're playing it. So yeah, definitely something. If you like your games with good graphics, this is definitely one of them. Okay, we've said a lot of good things about this game. It does a lot well, but I have to be unbiased. I have to talk about the problems. And there's one massive glaring problem that was really awful in my experience. It's the combat and the controls. Unfortunately, it's an important part of the game as well. The game gives you 2 choices, either normal controls or action camera or action controls, whatever they call it. And they both suck. They both suck. Normal controls, you have to manually move your camera around. So like pan the camera, right? With your mouse, like a lot of MMOs, but your character doesn't follow the direction of the camera. So you're running in a straight line, you turn the camera right, and then your guy is just running left still. It's bizarre. So you switch to action combat, and the game plays more like a mobile game where you're completely on the rails of your camera. You tab target, but you can't tab target because you're action targeting. I don't know. It does not feel like I'm playing an MMO for the majority of the time. It felt like I had to change the entire game to make it feel like every other MMO. It's hard to say exactly what is wrong with the controls and combat, but for the total time I've played this game, probably 10 to 20% of my time was constantly just, let me go back into the settings and try this. Let me change this keybind. Let me change this setting. Let me just Google why my character's not doing this. It just didn't feel comfortable. I constantly found myself like unable to target the right person, unable to interact with stuff that I'm clearly clicking on, or you know, I'm in range, but I'm not in range. I don't know what it was. I even plugged in a controller and set up like a controller, put all my abilities on controller settings so that I could try the controller because I just wanted a break from the clunkiness of the PC buttons. It just didn't feel good. And I play a lot of MMOs and I don't know what this was. I don't know if it was like designed for console and then ported to PC, or if they just wanted to try something new or development problems happened, but there's just something not right here. Okay, so overall, how is Throne and Liberty right now in 2024, a few months before its release? It's incredible. Overall, it's very, very, very good. This is a completely free MMORPG that has some of the best graphics, best world design, a totally unique travel and questing system that I am having so much fun with. I've even had to stop myself. On like the second or third day of playing this, I said, you know what? I don't want to go any further because I want to save myself for going hard on release. I want this all to be new on release. So there is a lot to love here. I've had some problems with the controls and the clunky combat, but this was a beta test and they've changed their combat a few times already in their other tests. So I'm hoping to see more fluidity and changes over the next few months. But yeah, this game is stunning. This is a 2024 game. This is a game that doesn't just rely on an old system, an old engine. It feels up to date, it feels current, and it does a lot new. It's very brave in that it takes a lot of risks. And I think that's something that should be rewarded, and it's definitely worth your time. I would recommend everyone gives this a go. It is free. There's going to be thousands of people jumping into this on release, and I would definitely recommend trying it. I'm going to be back with a full detailed review when the game does come out, going over the mid, the late game, the dungeons. But from what I've played, it's been super impressive. Definitely one to keep on your radar. But that's it from me. If you've got any questions about this game, let me know down below. And if you've tried it, what did you think? If you've played the beta or any of the earlier tests, what do you think of it? What are your impressions of it? But that's it. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.